My name is Jim McGillivray and this is the Pipe Box, your source for all things piping. If you find this video useful, please give it a like, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel to see more videos like this. We're going to go over some music today, and you can print this music out by going back to the description of this video on my YouTube channel. You will see a link to a PDF there. Today I would like to do the first half of a Piobaireachd with you. The Piobaireachd is an intermediate level tune, and it's called the MacGregors Salute. It has some great Piobaireachd standard variations. It has a ground and a ground doubling. It has a thumb and a thumb doubling. It has a G-ish and a G-ish doubling. It has a torlua, a crunlua, and a crunlua amach. Everyone loves the crunlua amach. It's a good competing tune, and it's a fun tune to play. It's a good recital tune. It's a good tune to play if you're ever playing Piobaireachd for a group of people who have maybe not heard much Piobaireachd before. This tune is largely characterized, at least in the early part, by lots of burls. The first couple of bars go like this. So you'll hear there that I play quite a large, fat, open burl. That burl is said to represent a cry of the MacGregor clan, Gregalacht, which basically is kind of like saying MacGregors. That burl can be said to represent Gregalacht, hobbadum, hobbadum. As a result, you can play it, the big fat burl that I played, you can play it as a double tap if you wanted. There's nothing too complicated about the ground in this tune. It has a really nice 6/8 roll to it. So I would like to play it for you now on the Deger electronic chanter, and then we will talk about it. I will play the ground, and then I will play the first few bars of the next variation as well, so you see how I transition from the ground into the first variation. Here's the ground of MacGregors Salute. As you can hear, the ground likes to move along at a good pace. You don't want to play it like a dirge. It's a gathering tune. It's a salute. There's lots of room for subtlety in the ground here, but be subtle about your subtleties. I often hear pipers who are not very subtle about their subtleties, and the tune becomes kind of maudlin. For example, let's look at line 3. Hey unto, 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 unti, unto, unto, vandabidi. To me, there are some nice subtle touches in that line that bring out the melody. Try to avoid this. He and do and do and do and do and do and do. That's just too grandiose and self-important. Be subtle with your subtleties. Okay, the first variation, which is the Piobaireachd Society, which is the score that we are using directly from Piobaireachd Society Book 10. The first variation is called the thumb variation because it introduces the high A. I tend not to think of this as a true thumb variation, but we will call it a thumb variation since it's called that in the book. Two important things in this variation. We have two complex pieces of technique. We have a cedere from high A, and we have a dre movement from low G up to high G. Let's look at the cedere movement first. Here's what the movement sounds like. Let me show it to you in slow motion. You can see it in the example here. Pipers often play this movement incorrectly, and here is what I see. You do not play the G grace note on the E from F. That's the cedere movement. I have a video entirely devoted to the cedere movement. If you have difficulty with it or if it's new to you, have a look at the video. We also have to play these dre movements from low G up to high G. I also have a video devoted to the dre movement, and you will learn there exactly how to play that movement from low G up to high G. Those two movements are challenging movements, and take it from me, when you're trying to play your Piobaireachd and all of a sudden you have to play a really difficult movement maybe once or maybe twice in a whole tune, it can be a bit tricky as to whether you're actually going to make it or not. You need to take these movements and play them outside of your Piobaireachd playing, whether you play them in exercises or just play that movement over and over again. They have to be played a lot outside of your Piobaireachd playing. We do not play these movements frequently enough in the actual tunes to support a solid movement. So good Piobaireachd playing depends on good Piobaireachd technique, and good Piobaireachd technique depends on working on it outside of your Piobaireachd playing. Okay, that's the first variation. Let's hear it played on the Dagger. notice when I played that variation that I played the third line of the ground, went into the variation, played the variation, and then went into the next variation and played the first line of that variation. Transitions between variations in pibroch are very important. I've heard some pipers play a pibroch where they think you just finish one variation and just kind of start the next one. There is artistry in transitions between variations, so I will show you all the transitions as we go here. Think about your transitions very carefully. It's a very personal part of your pibroch playing. One general rule to remember is that as we proceed through a tune, the variations get a little bit quicker. Not in all cases. A doubling is always a little quicker than a singling variation. So as we move through the tune, we're very conscious of tempo increases, perhaps a slight tempo decrease as we go back into a singling, but tempo control and slipping from one variation to another are two really important parts of pibroch playing. Now we come to the two what I think are true thumb variations, because they're chock full of high A's. The first thumb variation is very similar to the ground. A little quicker, you'll hear that it's moving along with more flow now. So let's hear variation 2 on the Dagger. A lovely variation that is. The next thumb variation, the doubling of the thumb variation, which is called variation 3, is a classic thumb variation, but the music is flawed. In the Pibroch Society, Book 10, the version most of you will probably encounter, the theme notes are reversed. In other words, if you look at bar 1, you go from, it says there, you go from low A up to high A, then down to C and back up to high A. Reverse the low A and the C. You start on C, go to high A, then low A, then high A. And that's true for every bar. This was taken directly from Angus Mackay's book, and while Angus Mackay in the early 1800s had the tune written out this way, it is never played in this way, and this is considered a transcription error. So keep that in mind as you play through this tune. This variation is where the tune really starts to come alive. You'll notice when I play it that there's a big contrast between the last line of the singling and the doubling variation. So let's listen to the doubling of the thumb variation. I'm sure you probably noticed the dramatic tempo increase when I went into the thumb variation out of the variation before it. And I'm sure you noticed the tempo decrease when I went from the end of the variation into the next variation, which is the G-ish. So as we play Piobaireachd, generally we're speeding up as we go, but not always. For example, if we go from a doubling into a singling, we'll often drop the tempo just a little bit, and that's what you heard me do there. You'll also notice that the high A's in this variation are quite short. The doubling is quite tight. The grace note at the start of the doubling is quite short. Try not to play the variation like this. The high A's and the doublings are crisp. Another thing I would like you to do in this variation is I would like you to push out the last theme note in each phrase, just a little bit, like this. Ho, brito, 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 briti, briti, brito, brito, brita, brito, 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 bri. Again, you're going to be subtle about these things. The flow needs to continue in the tune, and these subtleties are very subtle indeed. Okay, that's the first half of MacGregors Salute. We will end here. Next time we will do the G-ish doubling, the Torlua, the Crunlua, and the Crunlua Amach. Until then, this is Jim McGillivray at the Pipe Box wishing you good piping.